From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What's up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, proudly presented by Zaxby's. Indescribably good. Check out that delicious hand-breaded, golden fried chicken. Put it on a sandwich. Put it on a salad. Eat it as is. You'll enjoy it. Hopefully you'll enjoy this show. You will, because Corey Clark is here. Corey Clark, how are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
Good, man. Yeah, just marveling at the great work you've done for WarChant.com, the ultimate Seminole sports source. Promo code WarChant30 for 30 free days of access. Even with a bye week, Corey out here grinding, making things happen for all of us. Do check out the website. Some recruiting features. Sean Bray Jackson, little video that Michael Langston worked on, and I helped him out with. So that's up and running. We'll be back live Tuesday, 5 p.m., last show of the week. Because, again, your boy's going to a wedding. All worked out fine, though. You know, you criticize people getting married during football season, but, hey, it fell on a bye. It was supposed to be a wedding, actually, in Greece for Memorial Day 2021, Corey. But, you know, with the world being what's going on, they were like, let's just go to Key West, right? Because if you can't make it to Greece, just go to Key West, closest thing.
I mean, that's a nice audible, though. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been like in somebody's backyard or something. So, yeah, I mean, Key West isn't a bad backup plan.
I've never been. And I think the tentative plan was to sort of do it at one of their houses, but they didn't want to be on the news as having like a COVID party. So
right.
We're going to the southernmost point. It'll be great. Anywho, let's get, I guess, to this special edition of Renegade Express, since we are dropping it on a Tuesday for you folks. Because, again, we'll only be doing 3 shows this week. The live show on Tuesday will be the Wednesday podcast. Before we get to these questions, what are your thoughts on a couple people? Well, not a couple. I think one person tweeted at me. Figured I'd get your thoughts on it. I think Gino Hayes took to Twitter to offer his consulting services in the game of tackle football. And James Wilder Jr. also did a similar sentiment on Twitter saying, hey, check it out. You have all this knowledge, all these former players that want to come help out. Use us. Utilize us. It's not a bad thing. But does that hurt more than it helps? Because I saw somebody respond to, I think his Gino's tweet was, I've already had guys reach out to me. I'm going to help them. And the reaction on Twitter was, oh, great. Instead of talking to their coaches, they're going to talk to former players. That's a bad sign. I didn't take it like that. Would you?
No, well, there's two schools of thought there. Number one, you do want your former players, especially players that were on great teams, to be that invested in the program and to be around the program. I thought that benefited Miami so much. Well, 18, 20 years ago when they were good, that they had so many former players that embraced the program and would mentor some of the players and really help them out. But there's also a negative. There's a downside to it. What if Gino Hayes is telling you the exact opposite of what Chris Marv is telling you? Like, no, don't listen to that. You've got to do this. Believe me, I played in the league. Well, Chris Marv was a really good linebacker too, and he's trying to coach a specific way to do this, and Gino Hayes might not be party to what they're actually trying to do. Now, the counter to that is, well, hey, I see the product on Saturday, and whatever y'all are trying to do ain't working. So, but I think it could be a positive if it's done in line with if Chris Marv or Adam Fuller, if they knew their players were talking to these former guys, to reach out to those former guys, and say, this is what we're trying to get across. Help us get this message across. Again, I do this too much, but you see it even in like Little League baseball. Like you have the coaches saying one thing, and then a dad, an overzealous dad, which, guilty here, might have a different idea of what needs to be done. And if you work in concert together, I think it could be a really good team. But if you're directly contradicting what they're being coached, yeah, that's bad news. But I think overall I like it. I like that they want to give back, and there are resources there. And quite frankly, there are things about football that like Derek Brooks knows that maybe Chris Marv doesn't know. You know what I mean? Mm. Like maybe he has a little more pearls of wisdom than Chris Marv. So I could, or Dion, not that Dion's busy now, but Leroy Butler might have a few more pearls of wisdom than Woodson. So I can see like getting information or advice from them too. You just don't want it to usurp what your coaches are trying to do. What a great word. I don't know if I
Yeah.
used that correctly, but it felt good.
No, it is. I like it. You
Okay,
roll
good.
with it. Have you been able to watch the replay? I feel like Fox Sports has been replaying it on loop. I've watched the replay twice now. I can't remember the last time I watched the replay of a loss. I think at 16 with Jimbo, I was still watching games the next day. Usually I feel better after I watch a replay. I feel worse. Maybe this like delayed, like the whole steps of grief or whatever that you go through, because you're upset, you were burning hot.
Yeah, I was. I've calmed down. I'm more. I guess I've made it to acceptance, or maybe I'm bargaining with myself. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what. I think it's Dagba or Dagba. It's something like that. It's denial, anger, grief, something, and then acceptance. Okay. I don't know what the B would be.
Bargaining.
Bemused?
Bargaining.
Bargaining. Right? There you go. Not bemused. That would be a weird step. Yeah. So I think I'm in acceptance. But yeah, it sounds like. But I also haven't watched it. Like, I got everything I needed to get out. I went through the whole steps in that show yesterday. Like, I went through the whole process. You heard my Dagba in 45 minutes. So I got it all off my chest and we're good to go now. But yeah, I would never watch that game again in my life. Right. I had to sit through it once. But I know you're a masochist a little bit.
Well, just, I was trying to maybe find some glimmers of hope. I think there's some stuff,
Sure,
again, offensively to build off of, but defensively just kind of just reinforce that nothing is either being called properly or these guys just simply do not know how to execute. But it can't be something simple. Like, they're not being asked, hey, just play cover 2 here. Because the way they're blowing these plays is just so terrible. Like, I put in the group text with you and Ira, the play after, and I'm not going to hash too much of this because it's the Tuesday show. The Monday show is the postmortem, the autopsy. But when they had that backward pass to Tutu Atwell, where he picked it up and actually made 6 yards, but they reviewed it and said he was down. It's like 2nd and 25. Very next play, 2nd and 25, just wide open. I think it was Tutu Atwell.
Yep.
And James Bates even says, like, on the replays, like, Florida State with nobody covering underneath and apparently nobody over the top either. I mean, just wide open stuff.
And it wasn't like a walk-on receiver that got free that you didn't pay a lot of attention to. It was the guy that was in every mention of the game plan throughout the week.
And like 2 guys, I don't know, I'm not going to say one of the names, I should say both of the people, but like 2 guys triggered, I think backers triggered, and then there was nothing, there was no hope.
But what are they triggering? End. Like, it was play action, right?
Yeah, it was 2nd and 25.
It's 2nd and 25. Like, have some sort of football awareness. Yeah. If you don't trigger immediately on a handoff from 7 yards back in the backfield on 2nd and 25, it's okay. You can't assume. You can't just say, "Oh, handoff," like a dog that sees a squirrel. Oh, handoff. Let me go. Like, it's you. You got to have some more football awareness to know they're probably not going to hand it off here on 2nd and 25. And if they do, well, we'll get them eventually. I mean, who knows when? But it might be a 7-yard gain because we backed up a little too much. But your first instinct has to be, prove to me that you're running. I'm going to not believe that play fake at all. And Florida State, for some reason, bit on it on 2nd and 25. You're getting me all worked up again.
Sorry,
I'd already gone through my Dagba.
You did. All right. You're right. Again, we'll be speaking to Coach Norvell on Tuesday morning and Wednesday. Corey will be doing the live play-by-play, so that's why there wasn't anything in this show to talk about it, because we didn't get him on Monday. Also of note, they did release their schedule for next week. Corey, Tuesday, which is Election Day, don't forget, everybody, is going to be a day off for the players. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would think most of them vote absentee, right? I don't know. I don't remember how I was in college, if I was a registered Athens voter or if I was still a voter back in Gwinnett. I can't remember how that worked. But yeah, no, I think most colleges around the country are doing that, and cool. That's good for them.
Yeah. All right, it's Renegade Express.
That sounded dismissive. I really do appreciate it. I'm on board with that. That sounded like I was being a smart aleck, but I wasn't.
Well, you don't want to go too. You don't want to lean in too much, and then you start taking arrows for no reason.
Sure.
So let's start Renegade Express on a Tuesday, going down on a Tuesday, as the kids say. Also, check out Everett Dawkins, former defensive end. Apparently, he's got a new single. It might even be Hot Fire. He's a rapper now. Check it out, everybody.
What's his name?
I don't know. Ira retweeted it. I don't know if he's got a alias or anything like that, but Ira said it sounds
good.
There's
no way his name is. Well, and Ira does know rap, and that's not me being a smart aleck. He knows a lot more. He grew up on that stuff. He's from Miami. It is what it is. But there's no way his name is Everett Dawkins. Like, it's got to be E-Doc or
A1 Doc. A1 Doc.
Is that what it is?
Cappers is the name of the song. Cappers by
All right.
A1
Okay.
Doc. So there we go.
Free pub.
Renegade Express going down on a Tuesday. Matt AMCZ. Wake up! Aslan. I assume by southernmost point, I assume it's Key West for the wedding. If you have not been, hit up Blue Heaven for a hangover breakfast. Lobster omelet with a fresh Greyhound. That's Grey Goose vodka and their fresh grapefruit juice. The best. It will take your mind away from this FSU defense. I'm not a big seafood guy. I'm not a big omelet guy. So I don't know if I'll do the lobster omelet.
So that's 0 for 2.
I'll check out the Greyhound, though. I like grapefruit. Yeah. I like bitterness, surprisingly. Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, that's not a stunner.
As far as FSU, I'm more convinced than ever that FSU needs to hit the transfer portal and hit it hard, like Miami. Most of the Jimbo and Taggart recruits cannot leave soon enough. The ridiculous celebrations when you're getting boat raced, all the drop passes by receivers who are recruited to catch passes. And I even saw players on the sideline in the fourth quarter mouthing the words to the celebratory music playing in the Louisville Stadium. Really? Sure, these coaches can yell and scream and bench players for effort and dumb penalties, etc., but is it time to admit that this staff has no real chance at real success until the roster is almost completely flipped? I say almost because Jordan Travis has a bright future and plays hard. Some of the guys on the offensive line are playing much better. Alex Atkins has been awesome. Running backs have been awesome. But guess what? They're mostly Norvell's guys. Asante, Nas, Terry, they're going to leave. So where does that leave us with the current roster? And do you think the transfer portal is critical for success in 2021? Hashtag depressed in Naples.
Yeah.
Is flipping the roster like the Tooth Fairy? Like the Tooth Fairy is a real thing. I shouldn't say that. Is kids right. Can you? I guess Miami did do it to a certain extent, but I just feel like all these players that we complain about, all these positions that are underperforming. I don't know. You only have like a 25 player limit of guys that you can bring in. So even if you encourage all these guys to either go to the pros or look elsewhere, I don't think you can't bring 40 new bodies in. I don't think it works that way.
No, you have to be judicious and sprinkle them in. Look, the transfer portal's been okay to Florida State, not to the Miami level, but hey, Jordan Travis is a transfer.
Yeah.
Jarian Jones, Miko Dotson, they haven't
Devontae Love Taylor.
Devontae Love Taylor's been your best lineman.
LaDamian Webb.
Well, yeah, he was a JUCO guy, but I get your point. I see what you're saying. So yeah, and so I do think the transfer portal is something it's 2020. It's 2020 now, man. This is part of coaching. You have to beat the bushes in the transfer portal. And quite frankly, it's easier because those guys are ready to contribute right away. You don't have to go recruit a 2-star Devontae Love Taylor and let him mature for 2 or 3 years until he's ready to contribute. He contributes immediately and automatically becomes your best offensive lineman. So in that vein, yeah, I don't think you can get a whole new defense, but you can get some pieces. If Fabian Lovett is going to be back next year, we assume. You need to get some defensive ends. Go corner the market on the 2 best non-Power 5 school defensive ends and offer them the world. Whatever you got to do within the rules, obviously. I think that is something you have to explore because this defense has to get better. Because when you look at the depth chart, yeah, it's a terrible defense right now anyway, and your best players are leaving. So there's not a lot of hope that's going to be better next year unless you got like a Jalen Phillips from UCLA or Quentin Roach. Was it Roach or Roche?
I would say Roche.
Probably Roche he's from Temple, right?
Correct.
Yeah, go get those. Miami got really lucky there with those 2 guys. They're difference makers. And Florida State needs to go find some on that side of the ball quickly. And you can certainly, offer playing time, immediate playing time to guys in the transfer portal. So, yeah, I do think that's something that they need to but it's not that's a Band-Aid. That can't it might take you from a 5-win team next year to a 6-win team, or from 6 to 7 or 7 to 9. It's not going to take you from awful to good. You just can't do that with 1-year transfers over and over again. You've got to get some continuity, and that's on the recruiting trail and developing these guys. But while you're doing that, you have to go get some pieces that can play right away too, in my opinion.
I don't know, maybe like a full spring will eradicate some of this stuff. I mean, these kids can be, I don't want to say rehabilitated because that sounds like dramatic and, over the top. But, yeah, I mean, these guys that maybe people see do things that seems like these are guys that don't care. You can, to a certain extent, you can kind of change a little bit of that mindset with some more reinforcement. I don't know if that's the way to go rather than just trying to, purge your roster. I just don't know how practical it is to purge the roster out. And, I end up watching Marvin on a few snaps in that game. And I know he's somebody he hasn't graded well. He obviously hasn't produced to the level that we're expecting. But, man, he's getting beat up. He got chopped on one play, totally legal, pops right back up, runs to the play, runs to the roar, runs to the ball carrier, tackles him, gets up and claps himself up, but then he looks and realizes that it was like a 4-yard gain on a 2-yard to gain play, and he stops because he realizes, hey man, you got a first down. It didn't go according to plan. So a lot of these guys that aren't producing all that well, I hope just we're not painting too broad of a brush that certain guys maybe aren't playing hard enough or have wrong attitudes because. And they're playing hard. There's a lot of them out there that are playing hard. I wonder how much of it, again, is just, I don't know. It's the fourth quarter. The game's it's over. I understand you want them to be as upset as you are at home watching this loss. They're well more invested in it than you are. They should be upset. Hopefully that's.
By the way, they brought up. Speaking of the music, they brought up all the old. They had Nuck If You Buck.
Yep.
On one of the kickoffs, and they had swag surfing every time they were kicking off. And the Florida State players before the game on that first kickoff when they played it, they were swagging, they were swag surfing, and hey, they went right down the field and scored. So I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that place was rocking. All 4,500 people.
That said, though, they have to go to the portal. You're only going to really be selling playing time at this point because you're not going to be selling any. Again, I don't know really what Miami was selling. I just think.
Yeah, what was Miami selling?
I think
other than Miami, the city.
Yeah, that's what I think it is, and I don't want to. There's a happy medium. I don't want to downplay it. I don't want to oversell it like Miami's the greatest place in the world because I wouldn't want to live in Miami. But I think if you're like a 21-year-old kid and you've been playing at a certain, if you've been playing at UCLA or Houston, Miami seems like a pretty cool place to finish out your string. Or if you're in Temple and you come down and you visit Miami, it's like, oh, this is pretty cool. Listen, I love Tallahassee. I think that I've never been on Miami's campus in Coral Gables. I heard it's pretty, but Florida State's campus to me is unbeatable. But yeah, if you're going to go when everything is pretty much equal and it's like, hey, but you can live in maybe a more exciting town socially. Maybe that kind of stuff evens out. Now, if we had the mansion, if we had the football only facility, I think that's the kind of thing that can help you gain a kid like this in a time like this.
We don't
have that right now.
I have some homework for the listeners. I want you to go, and this is legit. I want you to go, and we're just thinking about defense. Go to the Group of 5 conferences. And now some of them haven't started playing or they've only played a few games, but go see who the best linebackers are in the group. Who's the best linebacker in the MAC? Are the 3 best linebackers in the MAC? Production, see what their class is, if they're a junior or a senior, because they get another year no matter what. And if you're seeing guys that have a guy that has 13 tackles 3 weeks in a row or has 50 tackles through 5 games, go see if they're from Florida, if there's any connections, if maybe they were overlooked by the bigger schools and want to come home. But I want a listener to give me a list of the 6 to 8 best defensive players in the country from a Group of 5 program that actually would be a grad transfer or a transfer portal possibility and the reasoning behind it. And we'll go from there because we got to do this together, folks. We got to start beating the bushes. So I want 6 to 8. I want a listener to give me 6 to 8. And if there's 3 or 4 listeners and you agree, and there's 2 that are overlapped, well, like the Venn diagram, and there's 2 that you both agree on, this guy would be perfect. That's who we go after. And we go after with the whole Warchant family.
Okay.
It's going to be a full frontal assault. It's going to be storming the beachhead with that kid with tweets, and we'll have him on the show. We'll do whatever it has to take to get a defensive end or a linebacker or some playmaking safety to come to Florida State.
Okay. 3 dubs. Wake me up from this nightmare. Clearly, we are all FSU fans and want what's best for the team. If you were the athletic director, what changes would you recommend Mike Norvell make this offseason, if any, and why? Is it athletics director or athletics?
It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be athletics director. That's the AP style, but everybody says athletic. Okay. But it should be plural, but it's not. because it kind of makes him sound like he's an athletic person. Like Coburn is just a director
Twitchy.
that happens to be athletic.
He's very twitchy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of twitch, a lot of fast twitch. Look, if this defense looks like this at the end of the year, not just that they're giving up points, because everybody does it. Georgia gave up, but the way they're giving it up and just completely being just guys running free everywhere. If that continues to happen, I think that is something that you'll have to discuss. I don't know that, the problem is you signed them for 3 years. And again, I'm not advocating for anybody firing 6 games into their career. I'm saying at the end of the year, if this looks the same, it is something that obviously has to be on the table, because Mike Norvell had the two most important hires Mike Norvell made this offseason, when we knew this going in, were the offensive line coach and the defensive coordinator. Well, it looks like he hit a home run, or about as close to a home run as you can get with one of them. The other one looks like right now looks like a swing and a miss. And are you going to let him stay up there and continue striking out? Man, I run with these analogies and I just full bore. It's incredible.
Let's go.
Are you gonna pinch hit? Are you gonna get somebody else? Are you gonna say this didn't work? Because this is Norvell's shot. And if you don't think if you now have 6, if you are as confused about what's going on the defensive side as we all are, if Norvell, you got to imagine Norvell's like, what is this? What are we doing here? Then, you can't let this go on for another 2 or 3 years, whether it's just the message getting lost, him not relating to the players, him not being able to teach his concept correctly, or them not being able to grasp what he's trying to teach in a way. Whatever the communication is, it's not working right now. That doesn't mean he can't turn it around. Brent Venables' first defense at Clemson wasn't good at all. It was that 2012 one, I think. And if you remember, that's the one where FSU put up 50 and EJ looked like a Heisman candidate. Like, they looked bad. They looked bad that year too.
Well, he got run out of Oklahoma too, so.
Well, did he? I didn't know he was run out of there. I thought he left on his own accord. Yeah, sure. That's the Big 12. Yeah. But it takes time. Venables' defense in 14 and 15 looked a heck of a lot different than it did in 12. But I don't remember Clemson ever just looking completely bumfuzzled and befuddled like this one has. So I think at the end of the year, you have a real discussion with Mike Norvell about, look, if you have any trepidation at all, convince me this is the right guy for the job. If it is, then we'll go full bore because I trust you and I paid you a lot of money to run this program. But if you have any hesitation at all, if you think, I'm not quite sure, or there's a chance I can make a change if the right guy comes along, then let's end it now. Let's not make a 1-year mistake turn into a 3 or 4 year mistake. So I think that's the discussion that Coburn and Norvell will have. I'm not predicting anything. I just think if it looks like this at the end of the year, it's something that Coburn has to go and is like, what are we doing? What give me a scenario where we can fix this. Do we just wait it out with Fuller? Is there somebody else in mind that you have if we do get rid of them? Where do you see this going from here? That's the conversation I think you have.
What if Adam Fuller tells you he needs a new defensive line coach?
Yeah, I don't think Adam Fuller gets to fire Odell Higgins. No chance. Okay. Like, imagine the pushback. Like, there's already pushback from the former Florida State players having to watch this every week. Yeah. Imagine the 1-year DC that has the worst defense in Florida State history demanding to fire the icon that coaches defensive linemen and has coached 20. Whether you think Odell Higgins needs to be replaced or not, Adam Fuller ain't making that call. Yeah. They'll be like, no, you don't. Nope. Sorry, Adam. Try again. What's another option? What's your second plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the only thing really David Coburn could approach him on is, if you need help on this, let's, we're not flush with cash, but we can maybe make this happen. Maybe also, hey.
I think you'd owe him 1.6. It's a 3-year deal, which again, that's a mistake. Like, who are you bidding on for Adam Fuller?
Yeah.
I know that's the landscape now, but that doesn't, Adam Fuller, was he going to stay at Memphis instead of going, like, number one, I don't know if he had a job at Memphis.
Right.
Because it was a new coach. He might not have kept him. So who are you bidding against? And why do you have to give – I understand giving Atkins or Marv multiple-year deals because they're wanted. They're valuable commodities. Who were you bidding against to get Adam Fuller? And why did you need to give him $2.4 million guaranteed? I think $800,000 would have been plenty and said it's a 1-year – and if he doesn't want to take it, then you can go get somebody else. But I just think now you owe him – if you want to get rid of him, you owe him 1.6. Now, if he gets another job, you owe him less than that, obviously, and you can space it out. But, again, they're not flush with cash. Nobody's flush with cash. And 1.6 in the grand scheme of college athletics isn't an enormous sum, but it's not chump change either, especially at Florida State.
Well, listen, to be honest with you, like Memphis upgraded. I mean, they're not doing all that great right now. They're 3-1 defensively. They've surrendered 24, 30, 49, and 29 points. Although I guess in this day and age, that's not too bad. But they got Mike McIntyre as our defensive coordinator. He was like Pac-12 Coach of the Year 4 or 5 years ago at Colorado. Like, Colorado started winning 10 games again out of nowhere. He was the head coach, and then he ended up at Ole Miss last year, I think, but they were terrible. They were really, 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 really bad. But Mike McIntyre has a much more accomplished resume than Adam Fuller has.
Right.
The only other thing maybe you could recommend is, hey, do we need to talk to academic advisors and scheduling? Maybe do something to where, I don't know, maybe these kids start practicing during the afternoon. I just don't know.
Actually, that would be number one. If I ever see Coburn again face to face, that's going to be my first suggestion. It's like these morning practices. How many unbelievably embarrassing losses does this program have to suffer through until somebody says, let's stop practicing in the morning? Come on, Coburn, help us out.
A-Buck55. Wake up, fellas. First time posting from Stark, Florida, home of LaTroy Guion. Want to start off by saying that I love the show. You guys make my morning commute to work much more enjoyable, considering where I work is within spitting distance of our biggest rival's field, or marsh. It's rough being surrounded by so many obnoxious fans and having to listen to their BS and then having to remind them that we're going through what they went through for 7 to 8 years. By the way, it's Florida, everybody. Poor guys got to deal with Florida fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't help matters when we come out and look so well against North Carolina to looking like possibly the worst coached, worst talented team I've ever witnessed. With all that being said, do you guys now think that the UNC game was just a fluke? I have faith in Coach Norvell, but not so much Adam Fuller. It's definitely stressful being a Knoll fan, but I just keep reminding myself that good things come to those who wait. Second question is, who would be your dream team, all-star team from since you've been covering FSU? Again, keep up the great work, guys. Go Noles.
We can't list all 22 of those guys. By the way, LaTroy had a nice NFL career. He was up there for a while, I think.
Yeah, he left early because I guess school wasn't his big thing. I was like, all right, well, good luck for you then, man. And
he wrote it out and made millions of dollars, I assume. I mean, he was up there for a while. I don't think the North Carolina game was a fluke. There was nothing that seemed fluky about that game, in my opinion. The offense moved the ball. Travis looked dynamic. The special teams were good. Defense was better, not great, but better. Maybe this was just a blip. Maybe this was an aberration where you had three pretty good games in a row, followed by one horrendous game, which, again, when you're a wildly inconsistent program, you do wildly inconsistent things. So in a way, that was kind of consistent. You knew it's just Florida State. You can't have nice things. So right now, they shined all the dishes and got them clean, and then they broke one. But I think that Pitt game, after a 2 weeks off, playing a team that's wounded, will tell us a lot. Again, not that they need to go out and win 50-8, but certainly give us a better effort than we saw on Saturday, because that I can understand why people would be like, what in the world? What? Yes, of course, North Carolina was lucky, because that's the real Florida State, that nonsense. And I don't think it is. Now, defensively, there's a lot of issues. They've been well documented. But I think overall, the fight that this program has, I think if Jordan Travis is healthy, I think if Tamarian Terry plays, I think there's still a chance they're in. In fact, I know there's a chance they're in that game in the fourth quarter. I think it's a completely different ball game. Now, the defense is still the defense, but I think you're looking at a one-score game. I think they would have fought. I think they would have been in the game, and it would have come down to the last few minutes, well, maybe the last couple drives of the fourth quarter. As it was, you essentially had your two best playmakers out of the game, and you had no chance with the way the defense was playing. But I do think there's some fight there. I do think that has been installed. Hey, there's just still too much sloppiness and other extracurricular stuff that we don't have to talk about again today.
Yeah, they got stuffed on 4th and goal from the 1 yard line, and then 2 plays later got a safety. I mean, it actually worked out favorably because they scored points and got the ball back, and they were driving right down the field quickly enough and made a good throw, and it hit off Pokey's hands, and that went awry. Pokey's touchdown towards the end of the first half was on a 4th and 3. Like, it was 4th and goal from the 3 yard line. Like, there's been moments where they've really been challenged and they've been stressed, and they've actually come through and made some pretty good plays, but at the same time, they've they've kind of reverted or, have had some sort of bad luck. I don't think the North Carolina game is a fluke. Although, like, what I've been more disappointed about as this game is sort of further sunk in was that after the Notre Dame game, I just thought that blowouts were like no longer a thing in this program. Like, for as wildly inconsistent as they could be, I was just like, or this is like the Miami stuff's not going to happen again. Like, they're not just going to. You're not going to see a team go 5 straight drives of just imposing their will and getting.
But what was the reason? What was the reason the Notre Dame game wasn't a blowout? What were the 2 main reasons?
Well, like Jordan Travis was,
and Tamari and
healthy.
Terry. Yeah. I mean, and you didn't have either one of those. So if you don't have, again, if Tamari and Terry is there and Jordan Travis is there, it shouldn't come down to that. Florida State should have more depth, but Jordan Travis wasn't the same guy. The only reason you had to throw on 4th and 3 in that series at the end of the first half is because Travis couldn't run it in like he normally could. And again, that possession where he gets stuffed at the 1, there are 2 plays there where he he gets into the end zone if he's normally healthy, but he wasn't. And they didn't respond to that fact very well. But I think that's the biggest thing when you look at it is they got blown out because they couldn't answer on offense. Against Notre Dame, they could. And that was the biggest difference. But I that's why I'm really interested in Pitt. If Terry's back, if Travis is more healthy or healthy completely, then there's really no excuse for them not to, even against a good defense, to not win that game and put up 30-something points. Because those 2 guys are playmakers. LaDainian Webb is a playmaker. Toafili maybe. Nobody else on the team appears to be. But those 2 guys are dynamic. And get them back, and I think it changes. I think a healthy Jordan Travis changes the complexion of everything.
By the way, I'm not asking you to apologize, but I've seen the replay twice now of the game. The one-handed attempt catch that Warren Thompson went for, man, that was so. I mean, maybe Julio makes that. There might be 3 people on this planet that would have made that catch. But
that's assuming that like other people don't get their bodies in position to make that catch.
Okay.
Like maybe they're faster off the line. Maybe they get by the corner deep better. Maybe they're like it. Those are really hard passes to just like pinpoint. Like I'm not saying it's a good throw because it wasn't. And yeah, I'm not saying he should have made that catch. I'm saying the receivers as a whole did not make any catches that you would consider, wow, way to go, man. Way to go up and get the ball. Other than the Jordan Young one. There was the one play. And other than that, you're like, man, yeah, at some point, go make a play. Your quarterback is hurting. Just go make one play for him. Just one. And now that would have been the best catch of his career. But didn't Louisville make a great catch in the end zone over one of your guys and get a foot? I think that happened. I can't remember. I lost count of all their touchdowns. But I thought one of their guys caught one in the corner of the end zone where he went up over a Florida State guy and made a great catch. I know North Carolina guys did. You're allowed to do that too. But that's not happening much. But you're right. That would have been a great catch. I'm not saying it wouldn't have. But again, players all over the country make great catches and get on top 10. Your quarterback dribbled the ball to himself and got in the end zone. Your receivers are allowed to go make some plays too.
How about this second question? I don't want to totally gloss over it. We don't have too much time to fully dive into it. But if you had to do your dream team, all-star team covering Florida State, since you've been covering them, which extends you back to like what you said, 2008, 2009?
Yeah, 2007-ish. But does that mean like guys I like talking to or the best players?
I think like the best team, like your dream team, so you got to win a game. So I'll ask you this. Would it be over under on your starting 22, over under 10.5 would be from the 2013 team?
Over.
Okay.
I would think almost the entire defense. I mean, I'm trying to think, Jernigan, yeah. Maybe Werner. Bjorn Werner would be one. He wasn't on that team. Xavier Rhodes would be on that, and he wasn't on that team. So maybe everybody that was on the 12 team. Really.
What about Brandon Jenkins? Would Brandon Jenkins be on?
I don't think you put him ahead of, like DeMarcus Walker and Bjorn Werner.
There you go. That's true.
Right. So DeMarcus Walker would be one, but he was on the 13 team. I can't think of – I'm trying to think of
Derwin?
Chris Thompson.
Would you put Derwin?
Maybe.
Derwin,
Yeah, but Derwin's career, would you put that over LaMarcus Joyner?
No, that's what I mean. Like, yeah,
I still think you get Derwin in there. I think Derwin maybe takes the place of Terrence Brooks, who I love, one of my all-time favorite guys to talk to.
No, stop it. Take that back.
But Derwin, come on. Imagine that team with Derwin on it. Come on, man.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. And I love Terrence Brooks, one of my all-time favorite guys to talk to. But, yeah, I would say it's close. I would say over still. It would be over because the whole offense.
Yeah.
I mean, who other than Dalvin? The whole offense is that team.
Warpath Knoll, wake up, fellas. Aslan, can you use your vast media pull with Florida State to arrange for a one-on-one with Corey and Mike Norvell so that Corey can break down with his great analogies the train wreck, dumpster fire, seventh level of hell, just how abysmal this defense is? I'm not entirely sure that his son's Little League baseball team could put up a better defense than this team. I can't help but think of how bad last year's defense was, and everyone was saying Barnett had to be fired because it couldn't be any worse. Well, 2020 just came in and said, hold my beverage.
Amen to that. By the way, I just realized I have my shirt on inside out, and I've had it on inside out the whole day. That's how rattled I am by that defensive effort. I can't even put on my clothes correctly. And I've been out in public. Like I went grocery shopping with my shirt inside out. So that's not great.
Well, is that the scary thing, though? It's that we could sit here for how bad this is. Like, it can't be any worse than 2021. But then you think of, like, Asante gone, Marvin gone.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it can get worse. Look, we didn't think we don't know where rock bottom is. We thought we did, but they got shovels. They got the oil drilling devices, and they're drilling into earth
The
to
derricks.
find more
Pump jacks.
Yeah. I was trying to think of Armageddon. Do they just call them drills? What they use in Armageddon on the comet to get the nuke in there?
I never seen it. No.
You haven't missed much. If you're going to see one of the Meteor movies, my vote would be Deep Impact. I think that they both came out within like 5 months of each other.
Gotcha.
And I've always thought, Meteor heading to the Earth, we're all going to die. I thought Deep Impacts was better. But anyway, the analogies, I've run out of them. I don't know what else to do with the analogies, but I would like to, if I could just sit and have a beer with Norvell and be like, what in the world, man? Like, what do you think about this? How, when you see a guy run wide open, scot-free in the middle, because Norvell's an offensive guy. He knows how hard it is to scheme it up wide open, but not against Florida State's defense. It isn't ever. Like, how many plays has Florida State made? How many times this year has Florida State had a guy running as wide open as Louisville had on 5 different plays? Like, I'm literally trying to think, like, even their big touchdowns, like Terry is open, but it's because he beat his man.
Yeah.
Keyshawn was open, but he had beaten his man. He had cut up and Pokey on the long pass against North Carolina. That's a great play by Travis, but he's being trailed by someone who's
Preston Daniel. Preston Daniel pop pass against North Carolina.
That would you say that's like the only one that we can remember off the top of our head where somebody's just running scot-free in the middle and that was a well-designed play.
Yeah.
It was. You would set it up for 2 weeks with the quarterback runs to the right, just quarterback power. And then you stop and on a dime, throw it to a guy who's wide open. Well, that should work. But Louisville's just running ABC plays.
Yeah.
Just counter, just a play action roll out to the right. Nobody near him. Got all day. Dudes run open in the middle of the field. Like that's what's so bothersome. But yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about him anymore. You guys know the drill. You watch the game. That's the our show tomorrow.
Old Dad's a Knoll. Well, Mr. Clark, I am impressed. With nothing to go on, you guessed me at 53. Being the mathematician, you flaunt figuring 11 over 66 should be easy. 11, he did 11/66, so like 11 divided into 66. I don't know. I guess you're right. He is 53. Sounds like.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, that sounds good.
Anywho, this is probably an odd question, but do coaching staffs watch film of the other team? I don't know if Jordan Travis does because it's all about us. It's all about us. How can teams with similar talent be so night and day? Hurts to mention them, but Georgia players seem to never be out of place, seldom miss tackles, rarely blitz to disrupt the play, but still do without having to. As a staff, wouldn't you want to watch their film or Clemson? Who's the same?
Oh, I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
I thought he meant like watching film of the opponent. I see what he's saying. All right, go ahead.
Watch, Georgia or Clemson, teams that like that. Who's the same just to see what you can do, maybe. Hopefully better days are ahead. Old Dad. Well, they used to go to other, a lot of coaches would go to NFL teams and vice versa on the offseason to steal some ideas. Like NFL teams would go to Norman, talk to Lincoln Riley, be like, how you doing all this, man? I don't know if you can go hang out with Dabo. Although didn't Willie hang out with Dabo Or Willie went
I think when he was at South Florida, I thought he went to one of it mimight have been Baylor, but he went when he was at South Florida there. And I texted you about this on Saturday night. Like I would fly Fuller and the entire staff to Cincinnati right now and just have him shadow them for a week. You're not playing Cincinnati, and you're certainly not coaching them down here. What does it matter? It's an off week. Go watch what they're doing. Go watch what their practices look like. Go watch how they communicate with the players, what scheme they're running. See how much help you can get, because those guys, Cincinnati Cincinnati might not have one guy, probably doesn't have one guy that was recruited by Florida State. And their defense is 10 times better. 10 times, maybe 20 times better. What SMU get? Like 20 points against that team? And they were averaging 50 a game? What would SMU score against Florida State? 100?
Oh.
So I would definitely go do that. I don't know if they do that as much anymore. But I would go to all the coaches' conventions. I'd go to all their little X's and O's talks. I'd go to the ones where they do it for the women. The coach. I would go
helmets
to all
and heels.
I would do all, and hopefully they're not goofy, sexist idiots like some of them have been in the past, and actually teach the game. I would do all that. I would do all that and try to mine as much knowledge as I can, so it doesn't look like this anymore. Because Adam Fuller might have some answers, but it's quite obvious he doesn't have all the answers. And there are guys out there that have some information and some knowledge he could certainly learn from.
Yeah,
but Georgia, I think Georgia's different just because they get pressure without having to blitz, but some of that is just recruiting. Like they've got some really good players up front. But you're right in the sense that even when they give up touchdowns, like to Alabama or to whoever, it's not usually because there's a bust or there's 5 busts or 10 busts. It's just a guy making a play over the top of them or making a really good play. And you can live with those. It's the busts over and over again where it doesn't look like they've been coached, which is the biggest issue.
Luke Fickell, head coach at Ohio State, he was the interim between, Tressel and Urban. He's now the head coach at Cincinnati. He's pretty much, I think it's his kind of show, but Marcus Freeman's the defensive coordinator. He's been there for 4 years since Fickell got the job. He also has co-defensive coordinator title from Purdue before he arrived in Cincinnati. Had a cup of coffee in the league, played at Ohio State in 2004 to 2008. So that's crazy. The guy that actually had Power 5 defensive coordinator experience goes to Cincinnati.
Hey, come on, buddy. It's too soon. Still 6 games. It's a small sample size.
All right. Next question. Georgia Knoll 92. What do you think that means? They're 28? Look at that. War chance for the kids.
I think they graduated in 92, either from high school or college is my guess.
Okay. Way up. Corey Aslan, what is up from Tifton, Georgia? I'm a first-time poster, first-time subscriber, but long-time listener. I do agree with Corey that the defense is an embarrassment, and that's putting it lightly. By the way, you didn't tell us who's from Tifton. I think Alonzo Hampton coached at Tift County High School, so that's close, right?
I've been to Tift County High School multiple times when I was covering Valdosta and Lowndes back in the day in my prep reporting days, and I can't off the top of my head. I know they've had them. It's Tifton. Clay Shiver is from Tifton. Clay and Stan Shiver are both from Tifton. So there you go.
How's their stadium? Like good program?
I mean, it was 20 years ago. No, they were not. They were not in the same. They had some nice teams occasionally, but they obviously weren't in the same vein as Valdosta and Lowndes. It's tough that they had to be in, or Colquitt. They had to be in that region. But yeah, no, they've had some players come through there for sure. The Blue Devils, I think.
There you go. I do agree with Corey that the defense is an embarrassment. That's putting it lightly. To me, it looks like none of these guys on defense want to be coached or disciplined. They do stupid celebrations at inappropriate times, and I honestly believe they don't deserve to celebrate anything, not until they prove themselves. Anyways, I have a couple of questions. 1, do you think this defense is terrible because of bad coaching, or they are being asked to do too much because it's a new coach and a new system? Yeah, that's sorry, Adam. Right now, I just kind of think you probably are not able to properly communicate what you want them to do. So I feel like maybe they're being asked to worry about too many things. There's too many checks because that's where these blown coverages are happening. That's just my uneducated opinion on things. Also, if we want to recruit with the best, you have to have the facilities. Is there any update on the football-only facility, and do you think that helps us in recruiting? Keep up the good work.
It's still in the plans, but we do not know when groundbreaking will be or how much funds they have to do it. But the new president of Seminole Boosters, is it a president or director?
CEO?
I don't know. CEO. Yeah, there you go. CEO. He definitely said that's still in the plans, and it has to be now at this point. Like the train's gone. You can't be the only football power in quotes right now to not have one of these, because it will be noticed. 10 years ago, it wouldn't have been noticed, but it will be noticed now that you don't have one. So yeah, it needs to be done, but we got to get on the other side of the virus, honestly, to be frank, before you can make any of these kind of plan. You can start raising money and actually starting to build something like this. You got to see when this thing ends and when we can get back to normal.
And it would sure help to have some good momentum to close out the season.
Oh yeah, sure. That's a good way to always raise money, is to be good and win games and be competitive and not get blown out on national TV or any TV. Just don't get blown out in general. I think that's a good way to build some goodwill with your fans, especially the ones that matter. Well, hey guys, you all matter. I shouldn't say that. I didn't mean to phrase it like that. The money people, but you guys all matter. They're not any better than you just because they have millions and millions of dollars.
I would like to get Andy Miller drunk and just ask him like his thoughts, like what he like in 2010, what he would have expected the windfall to be if they were able to win a national title within the next like 5 years, and then where the expectation and reality, how far away they were, or maybe they did intersect it. I don't know. I just feel that was a crazy thing too. I think maybe we just thought that this thing was going to roll. I did. I just, after that, I'm like, all right.
Of course it did. It was set up. It was set up for the long haul, man.
Yeah, and it didn't work out that way. I don't know why, but it didn't. It hurt some feelings still to think about it that way. But let's get that football on facility at some point. And also, in the regards of closing out the season strongly, I should have clicked on the entire link, but I just saw the headline on the Warchant Tribal Council. And it was, I think, Schleybaugh, who does, he's like the new Brett McMurphy. He's Mr. Bull guy. Says that he projects Florida State going to the Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa. I don't know who's got them playing. I'm going to try to find out here in the next 3 seconds. South Carolina.
Oh, I was going to say FAU.
Oh, bring it.
But that's not a bad South Carolina. That'd be a fun game. Be like 10 years later, the 10-year anniversary of the Chick-fil-A Bowl.
Yeah, bring Marcus Lattimore out.
Yeah, Greg Reed. They're the honorary captains.
Yeah. Unan, or maybe Unan, 64-85. Gentlemen, can you discuss our second half offensive points, not counting JS?
As in they don't. I assume Jacksonville State.
Oh, okay. Maybe.
Come on, Aslan.
I don't know. Just saying, maybe. I don't know.
I would say yes. They've scored 0 points against Georgia Tech, or maybe 3. I don't remember, but no touchdowns. 1 touchdown against Miami, coming right out of the half. No touchdowns against North Carolina. 1 touchdown against Notre Dame. No points at all against Louisville. That is a disturbing trend. Again, though, it's not just black and white there. Like North Carolina, Dante Lucas doesn't happen, they score. If Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, or if they don't get that false start on the last drive, they score against North Carolina. Louisville, they get down to the 1-inch line and don't score. There's Miami was just, I don't even know if we could. Georgia Tech and Miami don't even count. In my opinion, they just don't. And Notre Dame, they got down to the 5 at the end and didn't score. So it's not like they're getting completely out schemed and out adjusted at halftime. They're not making the plays in the red zone when it matters. Is my biggest gripe. They're just not doing. They're not stringing enough good plays in the red zone together to score points or to score touchdowns in those moments. But I just don't. I'm not that worried about it. I should be, I guess. I mean. You didn't score a single point against Louisville in a whole half of football. It's not good. But he wasn't hurt. He wasn't healthy. And it was obvious. And they were down by so much that they had to become a different offense. Like they are like much to a much lesser degree. For this offense this year to be effective, they've got to be almost like the Navy and Army. Like it's got to be primarily run heavy, and throw occasionally. And they were down by so much it couldn't be run heavy. And even if they wanted to be run heavy, their quarterback couldn't do it. Imagine running a triple option at Navy where the quarterback's banged up and won't keep the ball. Well, it becomes a double option. It becomes much less effective. So I think that's the battle you were fighting then. And I just think the North Carolina game, I think they can name their score if Lucas doesn't do what he did. But he did. I mean, that matters. The boneheaded plays matter, and they make a lot of them. But, yes, that's something that has to get cleaned up. I'm sure Norvell and Dillingham are embarrassed by that because their second-half offense has been dreadful. But I don't think it's like an overriding theme. Like, it's not like these teams, in my opinion, Notre Dame and North Carolina and Louisville have made these incredible adjustments where Norvell didn't have an answer for it. It was just some of it were just out of his control.
That's fair. I agree with it. I'm just getting leery about, being – it's different. I mean, this is different than what we've seen the last 2 years. And I know that's kind of vague. Maybe people want like an explanation, like a full dissertation, but it just is. I haven't felt that many people push back on, well, you're giving him more of a pass than you gave Willie. I don't think this has looked anything like what we experienced the last 2 years. But then again, hey, man, they didn't lose to Louisville like this in the last 2 years, so I hear what your folks are saying. But, I mean, just to Corey's point, they had opportunities to score points in the second half. It wasn't like their offense just completely shuttered. And also a little bit of that North Carolina game, they just became super conservative. I mean, they really just tried to take the air out of the ball in that game.
They did. I think they completed maybe one pass in the second half against North Carolina. But again, a couple drop passes in that game. Yeah. I think some of it is the North Carolina some of it was a big lead. Some of it was I did think he got a little too conservative, but I understood it. But it completely changed the way the offense was flowing when they were letting it go down to 4 on the play clock instead of 21. Yeah. Like it just did. They lost their rhythm. Now that's on a coaching staff to fix that, and they didn't do a good job of that. Nobody's arguing that they did because they didn't. The differences in halves can't be that drastic, and you can't say, nothing to worry about, no big deal. I just think there are explanations and there are excuses on that side of the ball. There are none on the defensive side of the ball, in my opinion.
Yeah. Will Knoll D56, wake up! I was worried that Jordan Travis' success was not sustainable. Those fears were confirmed Saturday. As bad as the defense was last week, if our offense matched North Carolina in the second half, the game is never close. This week, we scored first, yet could not keep up. Yet again, our defense, or whatever you want to call those people who line up when the other team scores, is only half the battle. Well done. Well done, Will.
Yeah, they don't do a lot of defending, do they?
They don't. 14 points is not beating anyone. And minus Jacksonville State, we have what? 1 touchdown in the second half of the season. What do we need to be more consistent? I guess that's very similar to what Unan. Yeah,
somebody tweeted at me about Travis and about he's not a good enough. Like the quarterback position is definitely up for grabs. He's not a good enough passer to be the answer at quarterback. My counter to that is we don't know. He's played 4 games. He started 3 in his career. You have to assume he's going to get better in that regard. But no, he's not going to be a great drop back, scan the field. I don't know that I shouldn't say that. I don't know that he's going to be that. But you can't dismiss the elite running ability. You just can't. It'd be like Louisville fans being like, to a lesser extent, obviously, well, Lamar Jackson misses these open guys. Can we not get Jawan Pass in there? He'll hit that guy. It's like, well, no, Lamar Jackson has something in him that nobody on the roster has. He is a playmaker. He goes and makes plays with his feet, and that can open up stuff for the pass. But if Lamar Jackson was if Lamar Jackson had, and I'm talking about sophomore Lamar Jackson, or freshman Lamar Jackson, 4 games in to his career, if he is in a boot all week and couldn't move and was hobbled but still played, man, that Louisville doesn't do anything. That his whole bread and butter is not just he's a runner, but the threat of running opens things up. Yeah. The escapability opens things up. And the offense just keeps body shot, home run over the top. You can do that stuff when you have a quarterback with the unique skill set that Jordan Travis has. So don't twist it as just, okay, he's not a good thrower, so he can't be a good quarterback. Quarterbacks are made in all shapes and sizes and variations now. He can be we've seen it. He can be a very effective quarterback, very effective if he's healthy. Even if he's just an average thrower of the ball. which there's nothing that says he can't get better at it. But the one thing he does have that we haven't seen for a Florida State quarterback in a long time is that play, the first touchdown against Louisville or the first touchdown against North Carolina. Those are 2 touchdowns. Snap at Florida State scores a touchdown on. Maybe Devontae Richardson. That guy was unique too. I always wonder about him. Like if he was coming up now in this system and he was in like this system or a Kendall Briles system and not Jimbo's system, what he would have looked like, or what kind of career he could have had, because he was an amazing athlete. But also hit a ball harder than I've ever seen another college baseball player hit a ball. Just talent oozing through his body. But anyway, I don't think you can just not care or look to what he doesn't do well and say, okay, well, he can't be a good quarterback. Man, he does something at an elite level. You have to build off that. But if he can't do that thing at an elite level like he couldn't on Saturday, then yeah, that's what the offense is going to look like. He does not have it in his skill set right now on 3rd and 9 to scan, look, and make a great read. But that first down throw to Cam McDonald, the very first play of the game, that's a 30-yard pass. The throw to Keyshawn Helton is a really nice pass that he drops. The throw to Pokey is a nice play that he makes. He can make throws, but it has to be coming off the thread of the run. It can't just be we're going to throw it 45 times. That right now is not in his arsenal. So if you want to say an injured Jordan Travis, this is what he is, well, yeah, okay. But the whole game against Notre Dame, I mean, he 3 weeks in a row, he totaled 300 total yards of offense. Now, he wasn't 21 of 25 for 316, but he got to 300 yards in 3 straight weeks against two of them were against top 5 teams in the country. We can't don't just dismiss it. Oh, well, he played bad against Louisville. He can't do it. One bad game shouldn't take away from some of the jaw-dropping stuff we've seen from this guy. But that's not to say he played well, because he didn't. And it's not to say that he doesn't need to improve, because he does. And I'm not even saying that he's going to beat out Chubba next year. Chubba might be the second coming. But let's not. I don't want to start acting like what Jordan Travis has done, like they can do with anybody, because that's not true. That guy's made some unbelievable plays.
I don't think he's an elite runner, though. I don't agree with you on that. I think he's above average for sure. I don't think he's elite, though.
As a quarterback?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, who is?
Like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, those guys are elite.
I mean, so like Heisman winners.
Yeah.
Okay, so take
well, he's elite. That's what elite. I'm sorry, man. That's what I would think elite is.
I mean, that's like saying that Florida State can never have another elite quarterback unless they're as good as Jameis Winston. Like
that's what people use to dictate what elite is around here, man. Chris Winkie. People don't think Christian Ponder is elite.
Is Joe Flacco elite? That's what we need to ask ourselves. Was he ever an elite quarterback?
There you go.
No, but look, he's more than above average. Like Christian Ponder was an above average runner. This isn't Christian Ponder. EJ Manuel was an above average runner. This guy is a weapon with his legs. And look, Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson, you might be talking about the 2 most mobile dual threat quarterbacks probably the 2 most mobile quarterbacks that have ever played the position. So no, he's not them. And he doesn't throw like Kyler, and he doesn't run it like Lamar. But if you can become a poor man's Lamar Jackson or a poor man's Kyler Murray, and that's good news.
Poor man's Russell Wilson, man. Poor man's Russell Wilson. I told you.
He's a better runner than Russell Wilson. Like he's a more elite run, but obviously Russell has some things that Jordan doesn't have. But running ability, creating an entire offense to play off his legs, that's a unique skill set that he has. It's not just okay, there's 6 yards there, he's going to run for 6. I mean, he turns 9.
It's read option, Corey. They haven't reinvented the wheel. I mean, they're running read option.
But it's
RPO
like running
stuff.
the read option. It's like running the read option with I don't know, Peter Warrick is the quarterback. I think that's how.
Jeez.
I think that's how good a runner he is.
Okay.
Not Peter Warrick. Not Peter Warrick. You know, he probably doesn't have the straight ahead speed. He's not quite as ankle breaker as Peter Warrick, but he is not just name any other quarterback that's a good runner. I just think he's a step above all of them except maybe the 2 you mentioned, which of course he's not going to be those 2 guys. But I don't think he's just above average, because above average, Notre Dame doesn't get waxed like that by a guy that's just an above average runner. Malik Cunningham can run a little bit. I mean, they gave up 300 yards and should have been 35 points. All right. Like Notre Dame did not have an answer for him. but he got hurt. He did, and that's part of it. That's part of the deal. North Carolina should have given up 45 points to him, even though they planned for him all week. They could not stop him. Again, I just think that it's not something that just needs to be. Yeah, well, okay, fine, but what can't he do? Let's focus on what he does do really well, and then build from there. And if you can't, like it's Tebow. Tebow couldn't throw the ball at all. Half the time you wondered if he was really right-handed. He was playing a joke on all of us. But his running ability had him score 50 touchdowns in a season. Now, he might have had a few more weapons at his disposal than Jordan Travis currently does. I know I'm going on a limb, but I don't quite see a Percy Harvin on this team or an Aaron Hernandez, thank heavens, on this team. But yeah, Tebow couldn't throw the ball either. But they catered an offense around him where his running abilities set up everything. Was everything. I just think that the moving forward, can he stay healthy? To me, is the biggest issue. And if he can't, then yeah, you got to have somebody in there that can, number one, and that maybe is a little more advanced throwing the football.
Well, that's the point, though, right? The offense is sustainable if he's healthy. Now, is his health sustainable? Probably not.
Right.
The problem is
that's the worry.
If he can't hold up, I don't know. Chuba again, 0 for 9. A little bit betrayed with some really bad drops. I mean, 2 particular. Just come on, Portier, figure it out. Keyshawn, figure it out. First sort of start, first action. So obviously, he's still getting better and he's got lots of room to kind of grow and improve. But like if Chuba can't maybe figure it out this season and Travis gets hurt, then it's going to be a really rocky November because Tate Rodemaker, James Blackman offense is not going to can't do anything. So.
No, but the reason the offense has looked the way it's looked, as good as it's been, I know it wasn't against Louisville, but as good as it had been before, and even still, they ran for 260 yards in that game. Yeah, that all is predicated on the quarterback. Yeah. If it was James Blackman back there handing it to LaDainian Webb every time, they would have run for half that maybe. It all stems from this quarterback, and we just can't ignore it and say, yeah, but what doesn't he do? He made some bad throws. Okay, but you ran for 260 yards. And a lot of that is because he's the threat back there.
Yeah, let's start Purdy jogging. Could be right. We're not in a full sprint. I understand people worried. I don't think a Jordan Travis 3rd and 7 conventional drop back situation. I don't think it's so much like him reading the play. I think I don't know if he really has the arm strength to fit it into tight coverage against a team like Clemson. But let's not worry about beating Clemson. Let's worry about beating Pitt. Let's worry about being able to beat NC State. Let's worry about being able to beat Virginia. And is he your best option?
Is he your best option to move the ball and to score points and win those games? Right now, yes. Is he your best option to win championships? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not gonna just say flat out no, because again, he's played 4 games where he's been allowed to throw the football. You hope by the end of next year and then an off season, he will get better and better in that regard, much like Lamar Jackson did. And then by his junior or senior year, he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the conference or the country, or it could be Chuba's team. I don't know, but I don't want to use that as a gauge. I just don't want to use one bad game when he's injured and suffered some bad drops as a gauge without Tamari Terry as a gauge for what he isn't or what he can't be. He might end up being pretty darn good.
That's fair. All right, last one. We usually start with him when he calls in, but we'll end with Gator Kirk in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Wake up, gentlemen. You are not dreaming Saturday. That nightmare happened right in front of our eyes. First, the offense needs to make plays, catch the damn ball. There were 2 touchdown drops, 1 possible touchdown drop after that blindside call in the first half. The lack of defense, horrifying. Play assignment football. Since this is the second staff that has grossly underachieved with the alleged talent we have, not sure if it is good news, but we will be underdogs in the remaining games. So I guess we have nothing more to lose, since our pride was taken in our previous beatdowns. I still love the Noles, just not always looking forward to Saturdays. Where do we go from here? Are the expectations that we just cover the spread? Love the coverage. Go Noles. Aslan, maybe you'll meet your future bride this weekend. Probably not.
There you go. You might have already met your future bride. You've strung some dates together here with a lovely lady that lives in Tallahassee, right?
Yeah, months. Look at that, months.
Months and months. This guy can't keep him from being committed.
Well,
he just doesn't. It's in your DNA.
Expectation isn't just a cover. Expectation is a win. You can beat Pitt. You can beat NCC. You can beat everybody left on the schedule with the exception of Clemson. My expectations have not changed because of one bad game. It just hasn't.
I would hope if they can win 3 of the 4 of the remaining games that they should have a chance to win. I think you go into next season feeling pretty good about a 5-win team. There is nothing that again, it all hinges on quarterback health and health of the whole team, who's available, who isn't. But if they have their whole roster, not counting Nasruddin, I guess, but everybody else, and Travis is healthy enough and Terry is back, I think you can beat everybody on your schedule, not named Clemson. You probably should beat Pitt, Duke, and Virginia. You just should. But Virginia has a better defense than you, much better. So when in doubt, usually pick the team with the better defense when it's a coin flip. But we'll see what their offense looks like because it's been disastrous. But we're not getting ahead of ourselves. I don't think they'll be an underdog in every one of those games. I don't even know if they'll be an underdog against Pitt. But yeah, you hope to see some improvement. You hope as you look at the season, like we talked about, a bigger picture, what it looked like at the beginning and what it looked like at the end, and take everything into account. Are they getting better? Is this program in the right direction? And we can't say that now. It certainly took a step back Saturday, and the defense was a train wreck. The offense was not much better. The special teams weren't anything special. But it's one game with a bad team, or a bad team. You hope they can improve on it, and they get 2 weeks off. But man, that first bye week was such a goofy one, and you still had James Blackman as your quarterback. But that first bye week was such a goofy one. It came at such an inopportune time that there wasn't any real way to make a bunch of improvement after one game. Yeah. But man, you hope these 2 weeks can be invaluable. And I think it'll say a lot about this coaching staff, what they look like coming out of it. They have 2 weeks now to address things and get things. You can't fix everything, but get them at least, I don't know, closer to what they're supposed to look like and go from there. But don't you think that this Pitt game will tell us a lot about the acumen of these coaches as it relates to this 2020 football team and what they can do with this team?
Offensively, for sure. Again, to your point, I don't know this defense is just going to be, J-Rob's going to play really good. J-Rob probably has 2 really good games left in him in a Florida State jersey. When will they be? Who knows?
Right.
Josh Kando,
at a time.
Josh Kando probably has 2 more games left in him that are going to be pretty good in a Florida State uniform. Which one will they be? Who knows? But yeah, it would be good to see the offense be able to string together the sort of drive they put together coming out of the half against, or to close the half out against North Carolina, to open up the half against Notre Dame. Like those sort of drives that they've been able to do, piece some more of those together, figure out a way to keep the offense moving in the second half. And again, they have been. I mean, they've dialed up plays. Guys have been open. There have been right play calls. Just guys, catch the ball. I mean, these are things that another 2 weeks helps to polish
fight for the
up,
ball
and then
too.
Get Tamori and Terry back helps too. It helps a lot.
That helps. That's a game. It's a game changer. He changes the entire complexion of the offense because they don't. If you guys weren't watching on Saturday, they don't have anybody else that quite does what Tamori and Terry does. Yeah. And Louisville realized that, and they just can't. They weren't even getting open against man to man. And got to have some pride, man. Got to fight for a ball. You cannot. It should be like Ron Dugan should be showing that every day. That's got to be a school record for Louisville for pass breakups in a game. And that should just be flat out embarrassing because we know what the pass breakups were. Some of them were bad passes. Some of them a couple of them were dropped interceptions. But a few other ones it's a 50-50 ball. And what was Florida State's percentage on 50-50 balls? 10-90? Like the Jordan Young one where he came back is the only one I can remember that was a 50-50 ball that they caught. Not only did they drop the easy ones, some of the easy ones, they didn't catch a single 50-50 ball. And if anyway. Hey, I'm past it, guys. I'm past it. I'm flying into a new week. Aslan's going to watch friends get married. We're actually getting to watch college football. Yeah. All these election commercials, all these political commercials are going to be over in a week. We don't have to see them again.
Your mailbox won't be filled with them.
Yeah. By the way, Kentucky, buddy. So I watched the World Series game up there because I got in time to watch it on Friday night. Yeah. And every ad has Mitch McConnell's face on it, whether pro or against. Everyone is. That's all I saw was his face. I saw his face more than Clayton Kershaw. It was great. Literally every ad in Louisville was a political ad. So if you live in another part of the country where the races aren't as tight, count yourself lucky. Yeah. But Georgia and Florida are very much the same way.
Also, shout out to listener George0429. We had talked about his alma mater. Hey, Aslan, heard my high school get a shout out on Renegade Express last week. Want to let you know that Mandarin High School in Jacksonville won its first state title just 2 years ago. We back, baby. I graduated in 2005, played with Tony Carter from 2002 to 2004. He's still a friend. Go Noles. So I apologize.
I don't know if you can say we back if you've never won one before.
Well,
we here. We made it.
Yeah,
I think that's what you shout.
So apologies to the great alumni that have been in Mandarin High School in Jacksonville, Florida. Shout out, you are now in the house. We'll be back in the house later today. We're going to do Tuesday, 5 p.m. live show on YouTube. So get ready, get in front of your laptop, and post a question, give us a phone call, and we'll answer them. And Corey will be back behind the keyboard, mercilessly hashing away every single word uttered by your head football coach, Mike Norvell.
You got it. Hey, can I say one thing real quick before we head out?
Absolutely.
I think I overextended myself a little bit you're right, when I compared him to Peter Warwick. I'm going to walk that back. I've had 10 minutes to think about it. He's not Peter Warwick. I apologize in advance for that. So that Peter Warwick was a next level athlete, the likes of Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. Jordan Travis is a very good athlete, and I think he's an elite runner. I'm not pulling that back, but he's not the athlete that Peter Warwick is. I apologize to Peter and his family. And that's no slight to you, Jordan. I, as you know, I'm a big fan. I think you're a really good athlete, but Peter Warwick is a once-in-a-generation. So I apologize, Florida State fans. I'll do better next time.
He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's Indescribably Good.
And now, a math lesson. Let's say the Zaxby's chicken finger plate comes with 4, 5, or 6 hand-breaded fingers and 1 side of Zax sauce. Plus, you can try them with Zax sauce, honey mustard, hot honey mustard, tongue torch, teriyaki, wimpy, nuclear, barbecue ranch, sweet and spicy, insane. How many possible combinations does that make? Carry the 2 with the remainder. A lot. Zaxby's chicken finger plate. The sauceabilities are endless.